it is a different atmosphere when you're in Division III. And logistically, you're right. Like just our office setup allows for a lot of that community building and community trust that we have in each other. But I've always prided myself on wanting to do that, but it's been really easy. I enjoy sports. So just going to events is really easy for me, but I also really enjoy supporting and then being supported by others. And like I said, I want our student athletes to see that as well. And I'm at a place now that our student athletes are incredible on how they support each other. But I also know they value how we see how they see us as coaches supporting each other.
This is the Leave It Better podcast, powered by the Side Out Foundation. Here's your host, Hall of Fame coach, Janice Kruger.
Welcome to the Leave It Better podcast. Today, I am your host, Janice Kruger, and our guest is special Sharon Dingman, who sits on the board of directors for the Side Out Foundation. She's the head coach at Colorado College, and I think somewhere towards the back of you is Pikes Peak. She's bringing at least 30 years of experience of D1 and D2 into her new role there at Colorado College. Plus, she's got over 600 victories, a lot of wins in the background. Prior to going to Colorado College, she had an amazing 6 years at University of Chicago, where she built a program and took it to great heights. And I think one of the things that I really love is the fact that you hit the number one spot in the AVCA coaches poll. That's a really cool thing to have said. Great accomplishment. Our paths crossed like 43 years ago.
Yeah, Janice, when you said I've been doing this 30, I was thinking, I think I'm closer to 40. So combined,
43, I think.
Okay. Yeah. So combined, we're probably close to 90 or over 90 years.
Right. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Wait, yeah. But you were a player and I was a coach at that time. A little background on your playing. And I always like to do this because for some reason I relate to this really well. At Northern Michigan, you were recognized as the most valuable player there. And I think you were a force to be reckoned with, as I recall, as we competed. Your time at Purdue University, you were a part of winning 2 Big Ten championships there with that team. And so when I look at your experience, and I know this is just in the coaching part, there's so much more to you, but in the coaching part, you've played at Division I, Division II, you've coached Division I. I don't know if you coached Division II, but you're coaching at Division III. And this just gives you such a tremendous background and knowledge of so much. So I'm so happy that you've decided to join us here today, and welcome to the show.
Well, I'm honored to be here. And yes, I do have quite the breadth of experience. I did coach Division II for 1 year. When I finished at Northern Michigan, I started grad school there. So I was a GA at Northern for a year. So I've hit just about everything except NAIA. Yeah. So, at least at the collegiate level. And I'm not going anywhere. So this is it.
Yeah. Before we dig in, is there anything you would want our supporters to know about you?
Well, first of all, good choice of words there with the dig in, with the Side Out Foundation and dig in. Janice, you're very good at hosting. So a good play on words. Well, I do believe that you did a podcast with Mary Wise not long ago. So Mary and I were teammates, and then we coached together at the University of Kentucky, for which we were working for Kathy DeBoer. So you can imagine what my daily life was like, trying to keep up with Mary and Kathy. Yes. Yeah. And then I do have, sadly, a somewhat special relationship with the Side Out Foundation, in that my wife is currently dealing with breast cancer for the second time. So that's, it's been you always think about putting things out in the world. And so when Ellen asked me if I'd be interested in the board, I jumped at that. I'm sure we'll get into that later. And then, fast forward about a month and we find out that she's got breast cancer again. I thought I might have created this by putting this out there with getting involved with this amazing organization. But thrilled to be part of it and thrilled to be on this podcast. And to have some time with you, Janice.
Yes, wonderful. Stepping back your experience as a coach. And you named a bunch of people there that are just amazing folks in the volleyball world. And I don't think we get too many places without this great mentorship and guidance from some of those greats. Would you like to say anything about, Kathy DeBoer? Ooh, she drilled you and got you going.
She's a powerful one, Janice.
Yeah, she is a force.
Kathy, obviously I learned so much about volleyball and when I played at Purdue, and I had an opportunity to play for Terry Robbie at Northern Michigan and Carol Dewey at Purdue. But Kathy really taught me about being a professional in our profession and in this industry, and how that this is a profession. And as a young coach, that was really impactful for me, just to learn about professionality of what we do. And then, of course, having Mary as also a mentor in that. And they have continued throughout my life to be my mentors. I look to Kathy a lot for just whether it's a life advice, coaching advice, friend advice, whatever it is. She really has been so impactful in every aspect of my life, outside of just the sport of volleyball. But Janice, I have really, really been lucky with the people that I have crossed paths with in my professional life.
Yeah. Kathy DeBoer is one of those people that I will call too. I need some help. But I do think she's really good at dishing it out. Like, I need your help. Right?
She's very good at that.
Yeah.
Since we're on a podcast, I'm not, you can fill this in for what it is. But when we worked with Kathy and she would go away on a weekend event, be it as the volleyball coach, or she was also in administration at the University of Kentucky, and she'd come back, and on Monday mornings we've had meetings, and Mary and I were always a little scared about what our Kathy's KFPs is what we called them. So Kathy's projects. So she kept us busy. But again, it was a lot of involvement in a lot of different areas. And Kathy is somebody that, I'm 63 years old now, and I still can't say no to Kathy. So that's the impact that she can have on us. Yeah. You don't say no to Kathy.
Isn't that a powerful place of leadership? You have some really great examples of leadership that you've had along the way in the programs you've been connected to. And I read a quote by one of the players at the University of Chicago, and they talked about your selflessness, your connection with you didn't ask them to do anything more than what you were willing to do with them and for them, and your involvement with the university or in the athletic department as a whole. You showed up, you were there, you supported. That's difficult to do in some places because of just the layout. But I really think that's something that I see you always putting in the time to do that. And I think that's quite a bonus to who you are.
Well, thank you, Janice. I really believe in our athletes, and I talk about this through the recruiting process all the way through until they graduate, that we really do need to give back to our communities in multiple ways. And we have opportunities to do that because we have a platform that a lot of people don't have, and that would be athletics, be it a coach or a student athlete. And I just believe so much in the give back to the community. And it's not just to take, because, we all can take a lot from wherever we are. But that is one of the things I have certainly enjoyed the most, probably at my last two places being at the University of Chicago and Colorado College. And it is a different atmosphere when you're in Division III. And logistically, you're right. Like, just our office setup allows for a lot of that community building and community trust that we have in each other. But I've always prided myself on wanting to do that, but it's been really easy. I enjoy sports. So just going to events is really easy for me, but I also really enjoy supporting and then being supported by others. And like I said, I want our student athletes to see that as well. And I'm at a place now that our student athletes are incredible on how they support each other. But I also know they value how we see how they see us as coaches supporting each other.
Yeah, sure. So let's talk just a little bit about Colorado College. Just the fact you get to look at Pikes Peak driving home or in your office, and the league that you're in. What makes it a really great place there for you, for your athletes,
We're unique. One, we're the only Division III school in the Mountain Time Zone. So there's the good and the bad to that, right? That means every time we travel somewhere, we're getting on a plane, which can be fun and can get tiresome. But that is really fun when you're recruiting, that we can talk about, that we travel by plane everywhere we go. And I think other things that make us unique is we have a unique academic system. It's called the block plan. I think there might be 2 or 3 other schools that do it. So what we are a semester school. We take 4 classes in a semester, but we take 1 class at a time for 3.5 weeks.
I like that.
So right now, our players their final is tomorrow, right? So they finish tomorrow and they don't start their next class until Monday. So that's what we call a block break. And then that Monday, they'll be in school for 3.5 weeks, and then they take another final. So it is a very unique system, obviously very rigorous, particularly for our student athletes. When we miss a day for travel, that's missing a week in a traditional semester school. But being a high academic, we've got some, they're incredibly driven and motivated, and they know how to manage that very, very well. So so that's something else that's quite unique about us is the block plan. Block breaks, you couldn't be at a better place to have Wednesday through Monday off, right? You're going skiing or hiking or kayaking. You're doing something outdoors almost all the time on the block breaks here. I mean, the last couple block breaks, I think our entire team has gone skiing somewhere, be it in Colorado or Jackson Hole or somewhere. So it's a pretty unique, just a really fun place to be. We have an incredibly active student body. As you can imagine, when you're at the base of Pikes Peak, it's pretty easy to be active.
Colorado just sort of brings that out of you. Living in Colorado, people think, there's so much snow. It's like it snows, it melts, and you have this great weather.
That's exactly right.
And you spend your life outside, right?
It's snow and it melts. That's exactly what it does. While we were gone in November on a weekend trip, we ended up with almost a 20-inch snowstorm. And by the time we got back and we're in school again on Monday, we were probably down to 6 inches, because it melts so quickly. Today we're going to be in the 70s with sunshine. So it's a pretty easy place to live.
Yeah. So what conference are you in then? So you're getting on a plane to go everywhere. Is that both coasts or,
No, so most of our schools are in Texas. We have 2 schools who are recent additions. It's the Southern Collegiate Athletic Conference.
Okay.
So we have two schools in Arkansas. Hendricks is a recent addition, and then Ozarks. So thankful they are starting volleyball. So they will have their first fall of competitive volleyball. So very, very excited about that. And then we have a school in Louisiana, and then the rest of us are in Texas, and then us in Colorado.
Yeah.
So,
yes. That is I like those places you're getting a chance
it's pretty,
to go to.
They're easy flights. And so that's, we appreciate that. Flying into Dallas or San Antonio or Shreveport, those are pretty easy flights for us.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, is there anything else you would like to say about the university, about, living in Colorado Springs we're going to do a little recruiting bit here.
Well, the other really fun thing about Colorado Springs and being here and some of the benefits that we get at Colorado College is that we are the Olympic Training Center, right? So we have probably 30 some national governing bodies located in Colorado Springs. So the opportunities, be it from sports psychology to sports medicine to nutrition to all of that stuff, and the access that we have to really world-class athletes, coaches, support staff is pretty fun. We don't interact on a daily basis by any means, but when you walk out in the gym and you see USA basketball down there practicing, that's pretty cool. It's pretty fun.
That is pretty cool, right?
Yeah, we're gonna do some things with USA sitting volleyball, and so there's different opportunities for engagement with us and the community. So it's really fun just to be in a place that is so sports minded.
Wow, I did not know that. That's the second thing. I love your setup for the classes. That definitely would have been a good thing for me. But I did have a question about that. How long are they in class on that day?
Yeah, thanks for asking. So they're in school Monday through Friday, 9 to noon. So they're in the same class Monday through Friday, 9 to noon. And then we are not allowed to start anything athletically until 3. So if they have a lab class, they typically will go back from 1 to 3 lab classes. And then we can start any team, individual events that we want with our student athletes at 3. The nice thing, Janice, is that we very rarely have student athletes miss practice.
Oh, nice.
Just because they pretty much finish class at noon or 3. The only time we might have some student athletes miss is if they're on field trips, and we have some classes that field trips are very, very common and popular here. Again, if you have a geology class, you're probably out,
Picking
digging in the rocks somewhere in the mountains, right?
Yeah, right.
Or going overnight camping somewhere. And so that's really the only conflict that we run into. So coaching is really nice because you just know you're going to have your full team almost every day of the week. Yeah.
So this is another question. Division III. So so your regular season, then in your off season, what's allowed there? And then, what do they do stuff for you in the summer? What kind of calendar really do you have?
Right. So we come back, our season starts in August, probably about 2 weeks later than Division I. Maybe, I think Division I might be starting even earlier. So we could be at 2.5 weeks later. We get about a week and a half of training before we start competition. Our Division III national championships are the first week of December now. And then spring season, this is our second year that the NCAA has allowed us 24 practice opportunities per day.
That is,
yeah. So we went from 16 to 24.
Yeah, I knew it wasn't much.
No, that was a big jump. I mean, and for somebody who lived 30 of my 40 years in the Division I world, I would love to be in the gym more with our student athletes. And so getting those 8 days was really, really special. And then outside of that, anything that they do is on a volunteer basis. While your strength and conditioning coach can certainly program and work with them. Our players are incredibly committed to doing open gyms. I mean, when we're not practicing, they're in open gyms probably, I don't know, we can't really know, but I'm assuming 2 to 3 days a week. So, but that's all on a volunteer basis. And then similar in summer, anything that they do is on a volunteer basis. They can't report back to us. And they're in constant communication with our strength and conditioning coach. But as far as their volleyball coaches, there's very little opportunity for communication during the summer with what their workouts or volleyball looks like.
I think for any volleyball player right now, with volleyball being on TV so much and the role models that they're getting an opportunity to see, and they didn't get there without just a lot of hard work and commitment. And so I bet you do see them in your open gym stuff on their own. A little more. Yeah.
Division III student athletes want to excel.
Yeah.
So they're going to do what they need to do, whether it's when we're in the gym with them or on their own, but they want to excel. And, that commitment is very similar to the Division I athletes I looked at as far as what they expect out of their career as a volleyball player, and academically. So it's really fun to work with young women at this level, and to see what they're doing academically is pretty stunning and inspiring. And then to know their commitment to their sport is, and I think that gets lost sometimes, that people, the outside world might look at Division III a little differently, but our kids want to be good at everything they do. They want to excel. They want to win championships.
I watched some of those and they're amazing.
Janice, one of the really fun things for me, having been in the sport for so long, we probably have, I would say 3 or 4 of our players probably would have started at our program at Illinois State when I was there in the 90s. Yeah. So that's just the progression of our sport and the level of athlete that we have playing our game right now. That's been the greatest joy for me to watch our sport grow and develop, is the athletes we have playing volleyball right now are crazy good. So it's really fun because I feel like I can still coach at a pretty high level with the athletes and the kids. We're just probably 4 inches shorter than your the big D1 players.
You got the kids that are like 5'9", 5'10" that are jumping out of the gym, right?
Yes. It's a great description.
Administrative support, or, what's behind. And as you mentioned, they allow you to maybe go travel someplace in your out of conference play. I mean, you've had it in 2 different places as a coach in University of Chicago, and then also here at Colorado College. I always find that super important. Yeah,
I have to say, to finish my career with my last 2 athletic directors that I will have in my career, I could not be luckier. My athletic director at Chicago, who's now the athletic director at Harvard, and then my athletic director here, Leslie Irvine, really, they just, they've been so supportive of what all of the sport, we still believe in a broad-based program. Division III still believes in broad-based programs. I have to think Harvard probably does too, and so Erin's really built for that. But I think to be aligned with the athletic director, and then we're very fortunate at Colorado College. Our president is aligned with athletics. And so we're really in a special place right now as far as just that alignment goes. And then the level of support that you can get with that. And we want to win championships at Colorado College. We want to build a culture that is really around championships while still really enhancing the student athlete experience. And Leslie shows us that every day by decisions she's making and by how, whether it's a financial decision or otherwise, because there's a lot of decisions that we make that aren't around money that show support and show the type of experience that we want our student athletes to have while we know we can still be chasing some championships.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a really good place to be as a coach. That kind of support just makes your job a lot easier.
Yes, it does. And more enjoyable.
Yes. So we're going to turn the switch here just a little bit. And you are a board member for the Side Out Foundation. Why did you take that role on to become a board member for the Side Out Foundation?
So Janice, I'm going to go back quite a ways. My very first experience or exposure, I should say, to the Side Out Foundation was I was recruiting and you were working a booth for the Side Out Foundation. Okay. And all I knew about it at the time was what probably a lot of people think of it as the Dig Pink event, right? And that was when we started the qualifiers of asking teams to wear pink on day 2. And then I saw you and I was very excited to see you, first of all, and I couldn't, I was really excited to see what was happening now in your life. And I just remember walking away from there thinking, well, this has to be something really good if Janice is going to do this, because Janice is a winner. If she's a winner, whatever she's going to do, it's going to be really good. Now, fast forward however many years ago that was, I get this email from Ellen Dempsey, our executive director, about the possibility of doing this. Same thing. Well, if Ellen's involved, one, whatever shape it's in right now, it's going to be better because Ellen is a mover. She is a mover. She makes things happen. And so the opportunity then to just, work in her space was going to be really, really fun for me. And then I just started learning a lot more. I'm certainly, as I mentioned earlier, unfortunately I have a pretty close relationship with breast cancer right now. But metastatic breast cancer was new to me. And that term was new to me, and learning what that meant and then what the Side Out Foundation is doing so specifically with metastatic breast cancer just resonated with me. And the opportunity, how I said, you don't say no to Kathy DeBoer. It's pretty hard to say no to Ellen and Rick. Once you start, I got to spend some time with both of them at the convention, and I walked away thinking, this is life-changing. To be very selfish for me, this is life-changing for me. And then to step back and think, because of my breadth of the world of volleyball and what I have done, I do think I can have an impact in a pretty unique way, because I do know people from, just like you, Janice, we know people from coast to coast and up and down and all around in our sport. And to think that our sport is creating what the Side Out Foundation is doing for metastatic breast cancer, I had to be a part of that. I just was really excited about it. And, I got off my first board meeting last week, and I just sat there, just had to kind of soak it all in initially and think the passion and the motivation and the drive of this group of people that I am now a part of, and I hope I can enhance, is beyond anything I've been involved with.
Yeah, it is. It is exceptional.
It is exceptional, and it impacts so many people. Breast cancer and metastatic breast cancer. It just there's it's just it impact. Well, 1 out of 8 women are going to be dealing with all the decisions that my wife is dealing with right now. So just to know that if I can impact our foundation in a positive way and help us grow through the Dig Pink or the Perfect Pass, whatever I can add to it, I am so honored and thrilled.
Yeah. I see you as a person that's really open to possibilities. And maybe you kind of like, that's sort of a inspiring place for you. I see you as that kind of person.
Yeah. It's funny because when people talk about challenges, I always think I don't use that word. I use opportunities, and certainly there's so many opportunities out there for the Side Out Foundation right now. And really under Ellen's direction, it's pretty remarkable. COVID kind of stopped everything. It stopped our world, as we all know. Yeah. So I think there's the opportunities for growth to grow the awareness of what we are doing. And we're going to do that through our sport. I mean, it's the most beautiful sport out there. So we're going to do that through volleyball. And then how do we do that? We do that through the Dig Pink experiences in the high schools. And one of the things I get excited about for that, and I hope that the opportunity for leadership for a 16-year-old, that's amazing, right? To be a leader in your Dig Pink event or your community and you spreading the word and being that, I think that is really, really fun. And this new initiative that's, I think, is going to just explode is the Perfect Pass, which now we've been able to, we're tapping into the club world now. And I say tapping because this is our first go round with the Perfect Pass. We're not going to be tapping anymore. Like, it's going to be the fire hose effect now, I think, after we get it going and people see what's happening. So I think it is so much of spreading the word. One, just like I admitted, I didn't fully understand metastatic breast cancer. I knew the Sight Out Foundation was involved in breast cancer. So I think the opportunity to help people learn why this is so critical. We're trying to extend lives, and we're trying to extend quality of life when you're dealing with the metastatic breast cancer. So I think that's also just helping spread the word of what this is that we're doing and why has the Sight Out Foundation chosen to be so specific and how that is really going to be a game changer. I'm not going to get into the scientific side of things, but wow, if you want to learn about science, you should listen to but our audience should listen to that podcast with Chip because one, he's fascinating, he's passionate, and the work that they're doing at George Mason it's a game changer, right? I mean, it is cutting edge and there's some really, really amazing things coming out of those labs. And so I think a lot of it is just trying to spread the word and then get people involved in the organization on their level. If it's a community-based level in high schools or your club, but get people involved at their level and what they can do at their level. And I think that's really, really important. We're not asking people to go out and change the world. We want you to be at your level and raise the money and spread the awareness.
I remember thinking all of a sudden there were all these commercials on TV about metastatic breast cancer. You hadn't even heard about it before. And then you started to see all these different types of medication being advertised. And when that happened, I kind of knew it's like Rick and Bryant and Dunnett's family really put a nail on the head because of their wife and mother going through the disease and being one of the first people in the trial to experience all this and benefit from it. To me, the volleyball connection here, I love this sport and the volleyball connection. The more we're able to really explain and help people understand to some degree, like you said, not too sciencey, because if they want to get to hear that, they can. But it's just something that we're doing as a sport. And I don't know if there is anyone else in a sport situation that has their own clinical trials and research being done that they're raising money for and raising awareness of.
That's such a great point, Janice. I was telling our men's basketball coach when I was elected to the board just about our foundation. And he was so impressed because he said, we wear the tennis shoes when we're supposed to wear the tennis shoes when we're playing in men's basketball games. And he's like, I don't even really know what we're doing and what we're doing it for, who we're doing it for. And I think, well, that's a problem. We're not going to have that problem. Our word is out there. We know what we're doing and we know why we're doing it. So that was just a validation of all the work that, that Rick and his father have done. And now we're moving forward with. And I think it's just validation that we're in the right space at the right time.
Yeah. Yeah. You mentioned earlier that you're going through a phase here with your wife where there's a reoccurrence of breast cancer. Would you mind sharing a little bit of that? Because it just will help people. A lot of folks are affected in some way, unfortunately. How that sort of fits into your thinking and really maybe how this affects even how you're pursuing and working to figure out what's next.
So her first diagnosis was in 2012, I was at the University of Iowa at the time, and so went through mastectomy, chemotherapy. Didn't really see this happen. This is not a journey that I think either one of us wanted to ever go on again. And it was probably about 2 months ago, found out that now it's the same cancer. So she's not dealing with metastatic breast cancer. It is the same. She has lobular cancer, which is a pretty slim percentage actually of breast cancers that women experience. And so it's the same cancer now in the right breast. So surgery is scheduled for a week from tomorrow. And it's really, we're going into this with a lot more knowledge, obviously, and a lot more experience. Of course, it doesn't make it easier, but it makes it, I don't know if comfort is the right word, but there is certainly, and there's power in knowledge, right?
Yeah,
and having experienced already does give us gives her some background to go on, deciding what the treatment plan is going to be, what the surgery is going to be, what that's going to look like post-surgery, all those decisions that women have to make. 1 out of 8 women have to make. So I think, again, while it's not metastatic breast cancer, it is a disease that is going to impact so many people. And so if there's any, even just to say breast cancer, I think opens the door to have that conversation. And again, I love that when you can have that conversation with a 15, 16, and 17-year-old who probably is not thinking about it unless they've had a family member impacted by it. But to know that if they're sitting in a locker room and there's 16 players in that locker room, the chances 2 of them are going to have this experience. And so when you can get into that space and start having that conversation and then allowing them to take a leadership role, and how can we help change what's happening? How can we help change many women's lives? To me, that's where the power is in this. And if I can talk about it on a personal experience, then to me, that makes it more powerful. While I'm not living it, I'm watching a loved one having to make decisions and having seen a loved one go through chemotherapy and what that's like, and, experiencing the day to day. And it's a lot. It's heavy. You learn a new language, and it's a language you hope you never have to learn, but you do. And so any way that we can get into spaces where we can start to really impact younger people, to make them more aware, even Janice, if it's something as simple as, having preventative healthcare, doing that is so critical. So that's just an opportunity to increase knowledge for people and to see what changes we can potentially make, and to know that we're a part of something, again, really specific with the metastatic breast cancer. Because there's not an outcome right now that's a good one. So again, if we can extend lives and extend quality, then the foundation is doing all the good work. But I am most passionate about seeing young people start to learn more about it.
Yeah. Yeah. As you said, knowledge is power.
Yes.
We like that.
Yes.
And all of your connections here at the Side Out Foundation and the people you've met, we're going through some changes of personnel. I walked in today and I'm like, oh my God, this is so exciting, because we're able to reach more folks and get the word out. I just feel like this turn and just where we are with the foundation is such a powerful place right now. I'm glad you're involved.
Thanks, Janice.
With us, because it takes a passionate person. Everybody's got some passion somewhere, but some have a little bit more to make a difference. And I find folks in this sport and in sport in general, honestly, are pretty eager to make a statement, make a mark somewhere.
Well, again, I think we have a great platform, and and it's so fun to just, even on a very different note, but to listen to the WNBA players and how they're going to use their platforms and for whatever they want to use that for. There's so much power behind that. Yeah. And we have the opportunity in our sport to do that, and we are doing it. It's not just opportunities. We're making it happen. And I've said this before, one about myself, but I also had this conversation with another person. I feel like there are so few times in life that we have an opportunity to get involved in something kind of at the beginning of it. While Side Out Foundation, we are far from the beginning of the Side Out Foundation, but somewhat of the beginning of Ellen's tenure as the executive director and all of that. Well, that's like, again, being very selfish. I'm really lucky. I get to be at the front end of this and to watch this energy just grow. I'm really fortunate. And I just think we don't have those opportunities very often in life.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to jump on it. And I do. I have the passion and the energy to certainly want to add to it. And again, just it's fun to watch all the things that are happening in the Side Out Foundation right now. It's a really amazing foundation when you think of the size.
Yeah, right.
Foundation.
people have no idea.
Yeah, it's not that big. But man, again, you get the right motivation and commitment. It doesn't take a lot of people, Janice. It doesn't. You have to have, they always say get the right people on the bus and get them in the right seats. We don't have a bus right now, Janice. We're like getting in a Lyft car, an Uber car, a taxi or something. But we have people in the right seats, and pretty soon, we're gonna need a 747 for all the stuff that's happening.
I agree with you 100% on all that, and it's really, the beginning parts are over, and we got it to this space, and this space is one of those that's just like an atomic bomb kind of thing. It's just going to go off, and the ripple effect is going to get out there, and people are going to know, and people are going to help us do more and just say, hey, volleyball was a big part of what this is. And how cool is that? I mean, we get to play our sport, we get to have fun, but to then throw this piece in there as an extra, there's nothing better.
You're right. There is nothing better. It is such a beautiful sport. And again, like I said, to watch the level of athlete we have playing our sport right now, and then to know the impact that this beautiful sport is making on so many people's lives. Yeah.
So how much fun are you having watching the professional leagues? The two, we got many right now.
We do. We have a lot going on.
The growth, it just takes time. And we got, pioneers willing to go out, kind of push it and see where it can go, and be open to possibilities. I think that's kind of what I'm seeing there as well. And I do enjoy seeing, I haven't seen anything in person yet.
Yeah, I haven't either.
It's not close enough. So then I have to get on a plane, or I got to drive, and I'm not quite ready for that yet, but I am impressed.
It's fun. And how about the fall? Like every night of the week, you can turn on some ESPN platform and you're going to find some high level volleyball going on. Talk about the growth of our sport. And it is, the growth of women's sport, right? Overall is at an unbelievable level right now. But, I think volleyball has really, that needle has shifted. People, you should want to get involved with volleyball right now. It's happening. Seriously.
We're having a moment.
We are having a moment. That moment's going to keep just exploding. And the Side Out Foundation is going to be a part of all that.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah. Do you have a favorite life lesson quote?
One of the quotes I really enjoy, and I look at it every day, is "Deserve your dream." And I talk a lot about that mostly with our student athletes, but I also try to think about that with myself or anyone else that potentially, that I can impact is, are we doing the right thing to deserve our dreams? And that's really important to me. I think I want to dream big. Fortunately, when I was young, I had a lot of people in my life that let me dream really big. And then was I doing all the things I needed to do on my end to really deserve to have those dreams. And so that's something I look at that every day. I want to make sure I'm doing what I should to deserve my dreams.
Yeah, I like that. That's awesome. Sharon. Okay, here's another one kind of out there. Can you share a story about the funniest mistake you made when you were first starting coaching or teaching the game? What lesson did you learn from it?
So my very first match as a head coach, I was at Auburn. It was my very first match as a head coach. We were still playing 15-point side-out volleyball, of course.
Oh, gosh.
And I had one server serve like 12 points. So we, it was like 12-0, whatever it was. I was like, well, this is really easy. Like, I thought this was going to be a lot harder. Janice, the very next set, I turned the lineup in wrong. So I had flipped the middles and the outsides. And I could not, for the life of me, figure out why we might have lost. We might not have scored any because we kept overlapping. And I was like, what is happening? How do we not know what positions we're in? And I had no idea that I'd flip the middles and the pins. So that was a lesson to, you know what? It's not that easy. Take your time when you fill that out, and always have an assistant coach. Check the lineup before you turn it in.
Yeah.
So that was talk about a yo-yo. Like, oh, this is really easy. Why are we now? We don't know our rotations. Like, we had never practiced before, and it was all on me turning the lineup in wrong. So that was fun. I actually just told this story. Carol and I were talking the other night about funny things. And I said, I remember telling a player one time, I was coaching at Butler. And, when we're young, Janice, we do some silly things. And I was like, you just run up to section 238, Finkel field out. Just run up there. And so she did. And I look up and she's just standing up there. And I yelled, what are you doing? She goes, well, you didn't tell me to come back down. So I go, okay. Okay. Now I know how specific I need to be with that coach. So, my gosh, there have been some funny
players. Yeah. Players.
Yeah, some things I'm probably not so proud of now. But,
gosh. So is there a particular book that had an significant impact on you?
Yeah. Probably the book that impacted my life the most is called Introvert Advantage, because I am quite introverted. And being a head coach, there's certainly challenges and opportunities that come with that. But that book really taught and expressed to me that it was okay to be an introvert, because I would look around at other people and think, gosh, I wish I was more like that. I wish I would want to stop in the convention center and talk to every single person while I'm out recruiting. And, I don't have an interest in it. I wish I was more like that. And then that book really, it just gave me peace that it's okay. And there's moments when, yes, we need to switch that. We need to switch our energy systems. And there's positive things to that as well, right? There's positive times when you can switch your energy system. And as a head coach, you have to. But I think it was just so peaceful and comforting that I don't have to be like that. And I can still be a good head coach. Mm-hmm. So that was really impactful for me.
Yeah. And there's a lot of things that come with getting a little bit older.
Yes.
In terms of, it can kind of like just slide off maybe something where before it might not have been able to do that. But.
Yeah. The fact that we've reconnected after how many years, and, and that the Side Out Foundation has created that for me to reconnect and be in your space and be in Ellen's space. And then, of course, meet new people. So I just think the opportunities that our sport creates for the lifelong, you don't ever know when those intersections are going to happen again, but you don't ever lose them when you're in our sport. And that intersection happens, it's a beautiful thing all over again. So just from that standpoint, I'm super thankful to just have volleyball as my life. And again, I just really encourage and want to encourage young people to, one, take some risk in your leadership opportunities. It's really hard. It's hard to lead your peers, right? That's the hardest thing we're going to ask anybody to do, is to lead their peers. And I love to see young people who are willing to take that risk and figure out how they're going to do that in their own special and unique way. And through Dig Pink and Perfect Pass, we give you opportunities to do that. And I would say jump on all those opportunities, whether it's with our foundation or anywhere else, is to have that courage. It does take courage, and it takes risk, and it will be super beneficial down the road.
Sharon, you're a keeper. And I do love that we have reconnected, yes. and I do feel the same way about the volleyball community. It's like it just never goes away. We might have distance in time, but those connections just are always, you can take a little dirt and push it off, and there you are again.
Yeah.
So I want to thank you for being on today. I want to thank you for being a board member for the Side Out Foundation. I'm super excited about that. I really love your story. I'm thankful that you're still coaching because of your great leadership and your abilities, but also the fact that you're now connected with the Side Out Foundation.
Thank you, Janice. I really love doing this, love being here with you. And then the opportunities that I have with the Side Out Foundation it's really been amazing for me. I'm really lucky. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening. Please share your feedback with us at side-out.org.